Hey, welcome back to Legends of Limp. I'm Matt Mizell. You know, when we first started this show, we said we would share more than just the Volkomp house. We would share the neighborhood. And we have met two individuals who fit the bill for this show, and I think are very interesting people. They're preservationists. They preserve architecture in the South City area of St. Louis, where we're at, near the Limp Brewery. And they preserve automobiles and music. So we took a field trip, and we want you to join us to go see Sarah, Jane, and Sam, look at all their stuff. We only made it just a part way through, so there's a lot more to show, and we promised we would come back. But let's go see a little bit of Sarah, Jane, and Sam's fortress, is what they call it, the Art Deco Fortress. So Art Deco Fortress, let's go.
Screen slabs and stage satellites, social stabs and highlights, masses, classes doing the uptown lockdown, where they spend their simoleons just to watch those Creoleans skipping, helping, doing the uptown lockdown. You'll find laughter after midnight, that's their playtime. They hide a hate time. What price? Bankers with us in relatives out to watch those hot high yellow tails up in Harlem.
All right, I'm Sarah Jane. I have been here at what is known as the Deco Fortress for 24 years, and I am an obsessive collector of the time period. I'm also a vintage jazz, blues, swing vocalist in a band called Sarah Jane and the Blue Notes.
Awesome.
And I'm her husband, Sam Meller, and I've been here since 2010, so not as long.
Sam, you do other things around here. What do you do?
I build stuff. I rehab buildings, so it was a good match. I moved down here and started rehabbing in about 95.
In 95?
Yep, 94, I was 30 years old.
You've seen a lot, right? You've been through a lot.
Oh,
here.
I'm from the county. I'm from Creve Coeur, so it was weird.
So you came from the county into the city?
I did. I thought I'd feel superior, but I think I just fit in.
That's funny.
All right.
Sam, tell us about the car, please.
This is our 1940 Packard. I was just a muscle car guy, but Sarah had a 53 Buick with her ex, and she wanted old car. We bought a 47, which is not as pretty. This is the last, in my opinion, beautiful Packard. Yeah, guys in the Packard Club are gonna hate me. But anyway, this is a 1940 Packard. It's the last year for standoff headlights, the last year for the scissor up hood, the first year for running lights. It's a straight 8, it's way long. "12 years I've been working on it. Every 2 years I'll do like a little bit on the engine, maybe the suspension, and then when COVID hit, it's like, I gotta paint this thing.
It looks so good, green.
Oh, I know.
Is this the original color here?
Well, it's similar
It
to an
is
original.
color, yeah.
This would be a copy of Wilshire Green, but it's actually a Jaguar paint code.
Mm-hmm.
British Racing Green, they knew their
I
greens.
mean, it's great green.
This is the Goddess of Speed, also called the Donut Chaser. That's actually the lower ornament. The bigger one is the better one. The senior ornament would be the Pelican, which they call
Cormorant.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that is glass. Her wing is
Oh
glass.
yeah, that's glass. These are glass.
And they have
These are
one.
glass?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Packard was the high-end car company pre-war. They sold more Packards for more money than Lincoln and Cadillac combined. They were undeniably the high-end car company. They go out of business in 56.
Sad day.
Yeah, you know.
Look at this split front window, windshield. Talk us through the interior here.
Sure.
What's the shape of that?
It's a couch, man. Oh, I put a headliner in it. The seats were already done. There's a lot of good work done to this car when I bought it.
Oh, we should tell them how, where it came from. It came from somebody's basement.
Oh, yeah.
It was in the
Old
basement.
man in Minnesota had it in his basement, and he was working on it like it was his passion project, and he finished the basement around it. And when he died, they had to cut the wall open to get it out.
That's crazy. Suicide door?
Suicide.
The things you can find in the basement.
Right.
And then 2 successive hot rodders put it together and barely got it to a running point. That's when we bought her.
Together.
Yes.
Like you're going down the aisle or up the stairs to the aisle. Okay.
This building from the top of Limp Grain Brewery. This was a postcard, smaller.
This was when it was a
Shows
clinic.
this building.
Yes, the clinic building. All right, so this is the first floor, which I consider call an unofficial museum of Art Deco, which is an umbrella term, you know, for streamlined modern, Art Deco, you know, and the different various styles from the time period, roughly the 20s, just about around the war. Though some of those styles went further after the war because, you know, they weren't making new things, you know, until a certain period of time. Then they had to have their vision of what the future was going to look like, which would be like the 50s. And
Yeah, so it was like futuristic.
yeah, so this is all before that. So that will be mainly what you see in here. A lot of it will be on this floor will be stuff that was used in commercial spaces. This is a department store display case. These are all Bakelite telephones. And I actually do have a linoleum collection.
Real.
Yes.
Yeah, these are tiles, and
Right.
Sarah did it all, or Sarah and her ex.
Yes.
The patterns and everything are all cut.
And these would have been in a theater. These came from a theater, the men and the ladies sign. And that is a bathroom.
That's great.
Which is kind of fun, actually. Getting ready to redo it, but there's some kind of fun
Oh, yeah.
things in here. The old manicurist table. And this is a hair steamer.
Ooh,
It's
not a dryer.
Bakelite too. No, it's not a dryer. It's a steamer.
It was some sort of product that they made, so they sold those. That's made of Bakelite, which is like an early plastic. That's why she got it. And it's cool looking.
Yeah,
I redid that little sanitizer. We
yeah.
put stuff in here,
Oh,
and then you sanitize.
that's what we needed during COVID.
Yes.
It's just gravity, man. It's really hard to. You have to have perfect seals and perfect, you know.
I can't remember a building that didn't have a little puddle in it.
So this is a soda fountain bar, and that is made of Bakelite, which it makes it a little more rare than the wooden bars from the time period. Generally, they would have scrapped those because it's not wood. You know, this is plastic, disposable. And this came out of Hesselberg Drugstore, and you'll see a few more things that came out of Hesselberg Drugstore. The woman who had this place made in the early 40s loved the space, did not want to tear it up, so she wanted to sell the building to somebody that would preserve the interior. But as soon as they sold the building, they tore everything out.
Yeah, so you've saved at least the drugstore. You've saved a couple other places.
The drugstore, I got a sign out of Herbs that we'll see in a minute.
Yeah.
These are
No, on
from
the counter. Shenandoah Theater, torn
Shenandoah
down.
Theater. Now, these lights I kind of kept tabs on for over 20 years. So my friends Mike and Frank from Cheap Trick had those in their shop. And I said, if you ever want to sell those, let me know. Sure enough,
20 years later.
20 years later, they let me know. And here they are. And they are like the same period as the building. That's when they redid the Shenandoah Theater in 1941.
Then just tons of collection. What, all those vacuums you could strap on your back and fly around, I think.
And the photographs, there's a few more spread around these photographs, but these were traveling ballroom dancers, and these are from when somebody in town went to the Chase Park Plaza and signed these. And they're like, to king, you may be a king, but you're also aces to us. Your friends, Consuelo and Melba. 1939.
And you, you also do music preservation.
I do.
This kind of speaks to that.
Yes.
Talk about that?
Yes, I'm in a band called Sarah Jane and the Blue Notes. We do old swing, some old blues. We're more in the jazz side of things, but I don't consider myself a jazz singer. I consider myself a blues singer because I'm not a trained vocalist.
You
Try to preserve the time period of music, 20s, 30s, and 40s. And there's beautiful old songs, beautiful melody. I'm very melody driven in our style.
Hopefully we can show some of that.
Everyone in the band except Sarah has a degree in jazz.
Wow.
I know. How about the bowling pin and the town crier's bell? Those are mixers. Because we've been a drinking country for a long time.
I sense a bowling theme in this area. Just got your bowling alley over here.
Right.
Oh, I know.
That's actually really fun.
Oh, it's extremely accurate. You can do the 7-10 split. It's got to be right on that edge.
So this thing came from down the street. I mean, sorry, it's all covered with dishes because I'm kind of in between putting stuff. So this is not refrigerated. It's actually a giant ice chest.
So this is old.
Yes. So this came from the Longshoremen's Hall, which was down on Marine in the next block. So it'd be in the 3600 block. And so the old timer who lived down there said, "Oh, we're selling that Coke cooler." And then we bought it. There we go, pushing it down Marine on its wheels.
I've seen that done a few times.
So that's how this came to be here.
Okay, talk to us about this beautiful section.
Okay, so I should say this side was originally the pharmacy side. So there were walls here at one time.
This was the waiting area.
Yeah.
That was the doctor's office. And the basement.
Right. So here we have some lighting that came from Peru, Indiana at a hotel. So I got those from an old timer in Indiana who was salvaging antique and architectural artifacts back in the 60s and 70s and incorporating them into his interior. So
he built a big restaurant out of a train car. Like he's near the train tracks, and he said he hired a crane to pull his train car he had shipped there, and then he had it pulled off. And, for 20 years, he had this restaurant, and all his friends came in, but now he's like in his late 70s, and his friends don't come out anymore, and the young people didn't want to go eat in a train car.
Right.
So he had all his collections.
Yeah,
and
it was
we got
pretty
some.
neat. I think he was pretty excited because he kind of kept in contact with the Facebook page, the Deco Fortress, and he saw them. And he's like, "Those came from me." So he was pretty excited about that.
Is that what you call this, the Deco Fortress?
The Deco Fortress, yes.
That's why it's got the fancy trim here. This was the waiting area that had to look fancy. These were the business areas that didn't need to be.
Right. So this crown molding and these medallions are original. They're plaster. So it's kind of odd to me that someone would build a streamlined building with, Art Deco terracotta, but then go with this really traditional interior molding. Seems very strange.
Still outdated.
Yeah. The architect for the building was Otto Krieg, and he worked for zoning and planning for the city. And at one point, he had an office in the building, like after he worked for the city. Okay. So I'm not sure exactly what he was doing in here then. But so since this was a medical building, I do have some medical stuff because I have to, or else, what are you doing? So
Love it.
I have skeletons in my closet. I really
Right.
do.
That's a female urinal designed by men. Didn't go over them.
Yeah, that was not a popular item.
No?
No, can you
Surprising.
believe it? So here we have this is kind of a fun thing. This is the ultraviolet ray machine.
That was going to cure you.
This was
If they weren't feeding you radium, they were using that.
Whatever ails you, this will fix
I'd rather be
you.
glad.
They had a comb one to stimulate
Yes.
hair growth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Electricity, that was the
They had one for hysterical
Why'd
women.
they give up on leeches? I don't know. I think leeches had promise.
So,
What's the rolling pin?
oh, this is a massage machine. This is for massaging.
Oh.
Yeah. And then since I have Hesselberg's, drugstore cabinetry, I have all these Hesselberg items.
There's Hesselberg.
Yes. And there's what remains of my door.
Oh.
This is probably my favorite one. See-through.
Nice.
Yeah. It's not full yet. We'll wait until it's up a
Isn't that
little
hilarious?
more.
I thought I used it in a window for flowers. And then all these little bottles. There's a ton of them we found when we had to dig up the sewer lateral next door.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Because they got pushed down the lateral, right?
No, because of the privy.
Oh.
It had an outhouse
Yeah.
before the thing, and they like to throw those in the outhouse for some reason.
Right, there's a lot of them we found, so that was pretty fun.
This is 1950s pachinko. Japanese gambling. It's basically a slot
Is this
machine.
from Asia?
It's from Japan.
Sure looks like what I saw in Hong Kong.
Oh, I think they're everywhere now, but I think they originated in Japan. And when the machines got old and they were replacing them, they didn't want to put them on the home market because they didn't want people to have them in their basement.
Yeah, right.
So they sold them on the American market. And they thought it'd be like pinball, but this isn't pinball.
Not quite as fun.
So yeah, they make things big in the U.S. and
Oh, yeah.
showy. And
Yeah.
so this vitrolite, I'm going to talk about that for a minute.
Vitrolite.
Yes.
Back here.
Oh
So
my God, this is going to be like 2 or 3 segments.
Yeah,
I told him about 2.
we decided that it was going to be multiple, so that's okay.
So this is vitrolite that came out of the Hadley Dean building, which was on 11th and Locust.
We close the Packard door, garage door. Okay.
This is some vitrolite here.
Yes, and then there's some more up here. Do you want me to walk up just to show it? Yeah. So, so this is vitrolite. So a company from Kansas City bought the building, and this was known as one of the best vitrolite displays in the world because the entire lobby was covered, floor, ceiling, everything. And so this would be in the 20s because, the Egyptian craze after they opened the...
What is vitrolite? Tell us.
Vitrolite is pigmented structural glass. They started using that around 1900, and then it went into, they'd use it in hospitals and bathrooms because they thought of it as sanitary.
It always stayed very pretty. That's why they put it on the outside of buildings too. Because it looked like glass.
That's so pretty. Why don't we
Strangely,
put
they
those
got
in the
historic tax
They
credits
don't make
to
it
tear
at
that
all.
out.
They stopped making it. So everything you
Ready
get
to
is...
go?
Okay, so these are a collection of medical exam lights, keeping with that medical theme and collection. Do you know what this is?
Is it a ticker tape?
Nope,
That's what I thought.
it's medical.
No idea.
It's a pump.
Like a fluid pump.
Yes, could be from a funeral parlor.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Sanguination pump?
Right. So this came out of a guy's house. He had a practice on Grand across from Forest Park. It's an old medical table, complete with your stirrups.
Sometimes called a birthing table.
Good. And then you have a gas station on top of that.
Yes. Well, you know why I got this? Because it reminded me of the
It
Fortress.
sure does look like it, doesn't it?
If the Fortress were a gas station, this is it. And this is 50s, but it's, because of we like the classic cars, we have that.
Really good.
And then,
So this is for your dental practice.
yes, yes. So I go to an estate sale and I found this and I called Sam. I'm like, oh, you got to get over here. We got to get this.
He goes, take off work and bring somebody. This thing's heavy.
So we did. And it was still hooked up, the gas.
In the basement. Oh yeah, this is a flame for melting wax and made in New York, state of the art for its time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the guy was still using it on his family.
Well, anyone after hours. Here, I'll show him.
Oh.
Is that the drill?
This is the drill. Check it out. And that's the controller right there.
Which one is it?
Just either way. See, it runs the, motors were big back then.
Kind of slow. Seems kind of painful.
This had air compressor in it and heated water, and it's got the spit sink that
And
you would
there's
put
your Here's your little drooly thing.
right, the sucker. This would have medicine in it, like numbing agent, and they put it over here, and then it blew air, so it'd numb up your teeth. That's the X-ray machine. It's electronic, not radioactive. And that head weighs like 80 pounds, and you can put it in any particular position, and it just stays there. It's amazing. The quality in it is fantastic.
You almost have to feel it, like the glide on it. It is incredible.
I had to mount to the wall really well.
So this is more of the Hesselberg's drugstore that they were taking to the dumpster as Mike and I were going by. So, we said, stop, wait, let us put together, an offer on everything, because they didn't want to piece the stuff out. They just wanted to be done with it. So got everything. One piece is here. There were two side pieces, and one went to Iron Age Tattoo, and the other's over at Retro on Cherokee. And then I collect mannequins. But I really love the little tabletop models. Those are pretty fun. And I like this silver guy because he's cubist.
Okay, this is the arcade part that I mostly did.
He calls it happy hour.
Yeah, it's happy hour sometimes. This Charlie Weaver, he shakes that shaker and pours a drink. He was like a character in the 50s, I guess.
Yeah.
Comedy.
Stephen
This is
Taylor
1946. Slot machine. It's nickel machine. This is a spring computer. There's no electric. Oh, I like this. Check it out. When you put a nickel in, watch these guys. They call it the nickel parade. So if you were throwing washers in there, which were cheaper than 5 cents then, they would walk by and catch you.
Oh, so it's like a security thing.
Yeah. Make sure you're not putting slugs in. This is 1956 bowling, which it's amazingly accurate. We got it pretty cheap. Sarah, this is another thing that Sarah saw it, and I already had the pinball, and she goes, you should look at this. And I go, I already have some pinballs. And she goes, you should look at this.
It's like a pinball on steroids.
It's a really good counter. It'll do 6 people. I used to think I used to have a pinball called Kingpin about bowling, and I go, they must be trying to get kids interested in bowling. That's not true. Bowling was such a national craze that everyone wanted to do it everywhere. So if you went to the bar, you wanted to play a pinball machine and bowl. If you went to a restaurant, this was a restaurant?
A restaurant or bar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This was like the Cadillac of fake bowling.
All right, good job, Sammy. All right.
There.
It doesn't actually hit them.
No, it's got triggers underneath, and it just pops them up. Mm-hmm. This is kinetoscope, or kaleidoscope?
Kinetoscope.
Yeah.
That's from the World's Fair.
They dispensed postcards, and this is from 1937 Chicago World's Fair. So it would have been you know, the different things that were displayed at the World's Fair. But what they've got in there is like a lot of them were, you know, ladies things, you know, and some of them were jokes.
They changed it. They changed it to be more in tune with the war too.
Right.
Later, you know, all that stuff is interchangeable, so you can use the
Picture
machine.
lonely GI who
update it.
puts 2 cents in and carries that postcard through World War II. True. True story.
That's not, that doesn't sound fair. To me,
A lot of these kids were from the farm, man.
I'm like, wow.
So we'll go newest to oldest. This is
Giving up your life.
1967 Super Score. The cool thing about this one is it's got a roulette wheel. Also, the theme of this is pinball. Like this is this game, Super Score. This is Shipmates and Bank-A-Ball, which were games they made the same year. And then she's playing this game. %, well, come on now. I'm gonna let it, well, no, we're not gonna get it. Yeah,
It's all right.
anyway,
We got a video to make, Sam.
right. This is 53, Sarah liked it. This is the first wood rail machine we got.
the graphics. It's all about the graphics.
Yeah, it's dancing. And the other one is it doesn't have the rotating things to go to do the scoring. So it's like 1,700,000, and they're around here lighting up somewhere. Down here is the single digits, and then the dancers light up as you go through it. It also can't count balls. Like when you can do all of them, and when you're done, the flippers still work because it doesn't know the game's over. You just can't get a ball to use the flippers on. Pretty good play for a 53, they said. 1953. Come on, you. All right, see, now it's done, right? It's the flippers. You just don't have any balls. So this is 1947. And this is United, which is the same company that made that. This was one of the last games. There's a weird thing about this game. It's right here. Can you figure it out?
No flippers.
That's it. It was gambling. All pinball was gambling until the flippers came out. I love to start this thing up and then have someone play it. Like I'll shoot the ball and then I step away and they're like, like it's gambling and no one can believe it. Look how complicated gambling was. It does everything that this does, kind of. It's got pop holes and all the weird, complicated scoring, but no flippers. And the guy that I talked to about restoring them said it was very rare to find one of these that didn't have flippers added.
Just pachinko.
Yeah, that's it. And it's got people would bet on who could get the highest score, but also you could get free games, and there's a button under here that takes them off. So you would go to the bartender and go, I got 13 games, and he'd come up here and he'd pay you for the games, and he'd take them off the machine. Oh, I guess turned it off.
So I should say that Sammy gets all things in working order.
Oh yeah, they're all
He doesn't
not
want
working.
things that aren't working.
So you fix them.
Oh,
Yeah.
these are way better than the cars. The tires don't go flat. The gas doesn't get old. I told everyone in the Packard Club we should just get some old pinball machines and arcade machines. You fix and these things, this is the technology that put us on the moon. It's all like, if this really, then this, then this, then. It's amazingly well made and accurate. Oh, this was owned by a guy named Amity Wolschlager. He had a place out in Augusta, which was really the country back in the 50s, 60s. And he drew the Weatherbird for the Post-Dispatch from like, wow,
I'm not sure.
1920
There were several
to
of
eight
them.
to 1990 or something. Anyway, this was out at his property out there. And he had tons of pictures of himself with like, he also loved sports. He did a lot of cartoons for Sporting News, which was located here. And so he had tons of sports guys out there. He's got like him with Stan the Man and
Mr.
Ozzy
T.
and Mr. T
Yeah, he had a
and
lot
all
of that
these.
stuff.
hanging out. And he's got an electric cart too that my aunt gave me that also has the Weatherbird drawn on the front of it. And it's not a golf cart. It was made for like inside of a warehouse. It's an little electric cart.
So
It's
probably
cool,
the
it's fun.
Post Dispatch. They probably used it in there.
Yeah, it was probably given to him from the post.
That was fun, wasn't it? We only got to see a portion of the Art Deco Fortress, so we told Sarah Jane and Sam that we would come back and show you more in a future date. So join us again to see what treasures lie behind the walls of the Art Deco Fortress.
Colonel knows his men and right. I love my baby till the day I die. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. I said ashes to ashes and dust to dust. And my blues don't get you, and my jazz and my